Welcome to Audio Story. Marco and Elena had always been the couple everyone admired. They met in Rome during college and built a life filled with art, culture, and travel, eventually settling in Milan, where Marco thrived as an architect, and Elena grew her photography career. Together, they built a cozy apartment that mirrored their love. Every corner was filled with memories, snapshots from their travels, and art pieces they'd chosen together. But over time, subtle signs of distance appeared. Elena started traveling more frequently for photography workshops, often leaving Marco with hurried explanations and vague details. At first, he chalked it up to her career blossoming, which he was proud of. Yet there were moments when he couldn't shake the feeling of being left out of her life. Her late returns, the subtle change in how she dressed when leaving, and the phone calls she took privately started to paint a picture he didn't want to confront. One Sunday morning, Marco noticed something odd. Elena's phone buzzed with a notification, and he saw a name he hadn't seen before, Luca. Her phone was locked, but something about the name struck him. She'd never mentioned a Luca before, and the text preview was oddly intimate for a professional acquaintance. Days passed, and Marco found himself becoming increasingly anxious. Was he reading too much into a simple message? He tried pushing the thought away, but Elena's behavior only became more erratic. She seemed distracted, laughing at private jokes he wasn't in on, and sometimes scrolling through messages with a faint smile. Each passing day chipped away at Marco's trust. Eventually, unable to bear the growing suspicion, Marco decided to search for answers. When Elena left for another supposed work retreat one weekend, Marco took his chance. He opened her laptop, which she'd left unlocked, and began scrolling through her messages. His heart pounded as he searched, dreading what he might find. In a folder titled Travel, Marco stumbled upon a series of conversations between Elena and Luca. They were more than colleagues, much more. The exchanges were filled with late-night confessions, shared plans, and messages laced with a flirtation he had only seen her use with him. In disbelief, he scrolled through photos she'd shared with Luca, capturing moments of their time together. Every image, every word felt like a stab to his chest. Marco's hands trembled as he read her messages. "I wish you were here instead," she'd written to Luca on one of the nights she claimed to be out with her photography group. His heart shattered as he read the words meant for another man, words he used to hear when their relationship was new. After hours of reading through messages and staring blankly at the images, Marco closed the laptop, feeling numb. Elena's deception hurt more than he could have ever imagined. The woman he thought he knew, the woman he'd built a life with, was living a double life. But instead of confronting her outright, a chilling resolve formed within him. If Elena had chosen another man, Marco would ensure that decision would haunt her forever. In the weeks that followed, Marco set his plan in motion. He didn't withdraw from Elena. Instead, he played the role of the loving husband perfectly. He listened, nodded along as she spoke about her upcoming work events, and even bought her a new camera lens as a supportive gesture. Behind his calm facade, though, he was carefully piecing together every detail he needed for his plan. First, Marco began subtly arranging for her secrets to become more public. He copied her text conversations with Luca, saved screenshots, and gathered the photos of them together. But rather than simply expose her, Marco wanted to ensure the fallout would reach her on every level. Marco reached out to her closest friends, mentioning his concerns about her long trips. Some of them had sensed her change in behavior as well, and he watched as they began to see the truth for themselves. In the small community of artists and professionals they shared, it wasn't long before word started to spread. As we dive deeper into the twists of this story, I'd love for you to join our storytelling family here at Audio Story. If you're captivated so far, why not take a second to tap that subscribe button? Each new story brings you a front row seat to unforgettable journeys, ones that just might resonate with your own. Let's continue and see how this story unfolds. But Marco wasn't done. He knew Elena had an upcoming exhibit that meant everything to her career. To ensure his revenge was complete, Marco compiled all the incriminating messages and images into a portfolio, titling it The True Moments of Elena's Life. The irony was not lost on him. Her betrayal would become her art. On the night of her exhibit, Marco dropped by the gallery early. He found her main showcase room and placed the incriminating portfolio near the entrance where curious guests would notice it. He felt a mixture of anger, heartbreak, and satisfaction as he imagined the unfolding scene. He left quietly, disappearing into the background as he anticipated the evening's events. As the exhibit began, guests poured in, admiring her work until someone noticed the peculiar portfolio near the entrance. In hushed tones, they discussed its content, shocked by the intimate and explicit details. Elena, oblivious, continued mingling until she noticed the sudden shift in atmosphere. People she'd known for years stared at her with judgment in their eyes. Her reputation was crumbling right before her, piece by piece. When Elena finally saw the portfolio, her face went pale. She fumbled, hastily grabbing it and attempting to hide it, but the damage was already done. Friends avoided her, clients looked away, and soon whispers spread through the room about the betrayal and the fallout of her affair. Her carefully crafted image as a respected photographer was shattered. After the exhibit, Elena confronted Marco at home, her eyes blazing with anger and fear. "How could you?" she screamed. "Why would you do something so cruel?" Marco remained calm, looking at her with a detached expression. "I simply revealed the truth, Elena," he replied coldly. "You chose another man. I just made sure everyone knew who you really were." As the days turned into weeks, Elena's life began unraveling even more. Word of her affair spread, and she lost major contracts and connections that once sustained her career. Her friends gradually distanced themselves, her family's support turned into shame, and her own parents couldn't look her in the eye without disappointment. Meanwhile, Marco found solace in moving forward. He focused on his work, each day letting go of the resentment that once consumed him. Slowly, he found peace in a life free of deception. Friends and family offered support, and eventually, he found the strength to let love back into his life. Elena, however, was left alone with the remnants of her choices. Her career, once her pride, was now a constant reminder of the man she'd betrayed and the life she'd destroyed. She'd never imagined the depth of Marco's revenge, nor the scars it would leave on her own life. Each time she walked past a gallery or saw a couple happily walking hand in hand, she was haunted by memories of Marco and the life she had thrown away. Regret, once a passing feeling, now became her daily companion. Marco, on the other hand, continued to build his life back, never looking back. He grew in his career and eventually found someone who cherished him, who never once gave him reason to doubt their love. The scars of betrayal faded with time. And while he never forgot, he found peace in knowing he had found justice on his own terms. May she forever remember the life she lost, he often thought, not with bitterness, but with the calm acceptance of a man who had truly moved on. For him, revenge was not merely an act of payback, but the closure he needed to reclaim his own life, a life free of lies and deception. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the complexities of human relationships. If this story resonated with you and sparked emotions you can relate to, I invite you to subscribe to Audio Story. Your support not only helps us grow, but also allows us to continue bringing you captivating tales of betrayal, revenge, and resilience. Share this story with someone who might need it, and remember to like this video if you enjoyed it. Together, let's keep exploring the powerful narratives that connect us all.